When HOA Karen barged into my private lake cabin, screaming about community violations, she didn't realize who was sitting across from me, the state attorney general herself. What began as another HOA power trip turned into a career-ending moment of humiliation she'd never recover from. All caught on camera. The lake was my peace. After 20 years of running my construction firm in the city, I'd finally bought myself something priceless: solitude. My cabin at Lake Barrow sat on private property, about 2 miles beyond the nearest HOA-controlled neighborhood. No noise, no rules, no nonsense. I wanted a quiet morning. The glassy water reflected the golden sunrise, and the pine trees rustled softly in the breeze. My dog Duke napped by the porch while I prepped the cabin's conference table for a meeting that could change my business forever. You see, I wasn't just a contractor. I'd been working with several rural municipalities on infrastructure projects, and that morning, I was meeting State Attorney General Patricia Green to discuss a potential government partnership. She was sharp, respected, and not someone you wanted to irritate. She arrived right on time, a black SUV pulling up, 2 security officers stepping out first. Patricia followed, dressed in a crisp navy suit, her usual calm confidence radiating even through her sunglasses. "Nice place you've got here, Mr. Hall," she said, shaking my hand. "Hard to imagine this is only 20 minutes outside the city." "That's the point," I smiled. "No distractions, no HOA." She chuckled at that, a light laugh that echoed off the lake. We went inside, started talking contracts, budgets, and permits. Everything was going perfectly. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw movement outside. A silver sedan pulled up, way too fast for the gravel road, followed by another car I didn't recognize. A woman in a bright pink jacket and oversized sunglasses stepped out, waving a clipboard like a sword. I didn't even need a name to know who she was. Karen Whitfield, self-proclaimed president of the Lakeview Shores HOA, infamous for her temper, her fake sense of authority, and her obsession with enforcing order. Except, there was one small problem. My cabin wasn't in her HOA. The boundary line stopped nearly 200 feet before my property began. But HOA Karen didn't care about lines. She cared about control. She marched right up to the porch, her heels clacking like a gavel, while Patricia's 2 security officers exchanged wary glances. "Excuse me?" Karen shouted, pounding on the cabin door. "This structure is not authorized for residential use. You are in violation of HOA bylaws!" I took a deep breath. Patricia looked at me, eyebrows raised. "Friend of yours?" she asked, half amused. "Unfortunately, a neighbor," I muttered, "and apparently a self-appointed sheriff." I opened the door slowly, smiling like someone bracing for a storm. "Morning, Karen, you're trespassing." "No, you're violating Community Code 14B, unauthorized commercial use of a residential structure," she snapped, waving her clipboard. "You've been reported holding meetings and construction gatherings here." I glanced at Patricia, who had stood up from the table, watching the scene unfold like a courtroom drama. Her 2 officers subtly stepped closer. "Karen, this cabin isn't in your HOA," I said calmly. "The property line ends before the trail. You have no authority here." "Oh, we'll see about that," she barked. "As HOA president, I can inspect any structure affecting community visibility. And right now, your cabin is visible from Lakeview." That's when Patricia spoke for the first time. Her tone was cold, precise, and laced with authority that could cut steel. "Excuse me, ma'am," she said. "Do you realize you just entered private property uninvited during an official state business meeting?" Karen blinked, clearly thrown off. She glanced at Patricia, not recognizing her, and then scoffed. "I don't care who you are. This area falls under community management. You'll have to leave until I complete my inspection." I swear, even Duke stopped breathing for a second. Patricia removed her sunglasses, slowly, a small motion that somehow shifted the air in the room. "You said your name is Karen Whitfield, correct?" "That's President Whitfield, yes. President of an HOA that doesn't include this property." "That's irrelevant." "It's very relevant," Patricia cut her off. "Because you just violated 2 state trespassing statutes, interrupted a government meeting, and falsely represented legal authority." Karen's jaw dropped. What are you talking about?" "I'm the state attorney general," Patricia said, her ID flashing in the sunlight. "And you just stormed into a state-sanctioned session without permission." Karen froze. Her clipboard fell to her side. The HOA assistants behind her, the ones who'd been filming for evidence, slowly lowered their phones. "Oh, I didn't realize—" "No," Patricia interrupted. "You didn't check." For a full minute, the only sound was the lake breeze. Then Patricia turned to one of her security officers. "Officer, please document the incident. We may need to file a trespassing report." Karen's face turned white. No, wait. This is just a misunderstanding. I was doing my job." "Your job," Patricia said calmly, "does not extend beyond your HOA boundaries. You've just embarrassed yourself and potentially exposed your board to legal action," Karen stammered. Something about community interest. But her words were collapsing under the weight of her own arrogance. Patricia turned back to me with a small smirk. "You handle this often?" "Too often," I said, leaning against the doorframe. Patricia nodded to her team. "We'll add this to the report. Let's continue our meeting, if you still have the patience." "Absolutely," I grinned. "I was just thinking how peaceful this place is." Karen, red-faced and shaking, muttered something about calling her lawyer as she backed down the steps. The officers made sure she and her entourage left the property. When they were gone, Patricia looked out over the lake and shook her head. "You'd be amazed how many Karens think a clipboard gives them power." "Trust me," I said, pouring her a fresh cup of coffee. "Around here, that's a weekly occurrence." News travels fast in small communities, and even faster when you've got HOA drama mixed with state politics. By Monday morning, the entire Lakeview Shores community knew what had happened. Word spread that the HOA president had burst into a private cabin and yelled at a government official. The story exploded. Neighbors began calling an emergency HOA meeting to question Karen's leadership. Some demanded she apologize publicly, others wanted her removed immediately. But the real blow came a week later. Patricia's office formally filed a trespassing and obstruction complaint. Not criminal, but enough to make Karen's name appear on the county docket. A warning recorded for all to see. Then a letter arrived in my mailbox. Hand-delivered, cream envelope, official seal. Inside was a brief note from Patricia. "Mr. Hall, thank you for your patience and professionalism. I've added your company to our approved contractor list. Your handling of the incident spoke louder than any proposal could. P. Green, Attorney General." That letter was worth more than any HOA apology could ever be. Meanwhile, the HOA board voted to remove Karen as president pending review. She tried to fight it, but the video one of her assistants recorded, her storming in, shouting about community violations, and then realizing who she'd interrupted is leaked online. It went viral locally. They called it the Karen versus the Attorney General showdown. The clip got thousands of views on Facebook, even made it to a few Reddit threads. Someone added dramatic background music. Karen moved out 2 months later. The new HOA president, an older man named Mr. Conway, stopped by the cabin one morning with a pie and an apology. "We're cleaning up the mess," he said awkwardly. "Appreciate it," I told him. "Maybe start by reminding your board where their property line ends." That night, I sat on my porch, Duke resting at my feet, the lake glowing under the setting sun. The water was calm again. No HOA SUVs, no clipboards, no yelling, just quiet. I thought about Patricia's words. "You'd be amazed how many people think a clipboard gives them power." It made me smile. Because real authority, the kind that matters, doesn't come from noise, rules, or fear. It comes from knowing when to stand your ground and when to let fools dig their own graves. And sometimes all it takes to humble a self-proclaimed queen is one unplanned audience with the state attorney general.